Calm down. There's nothing to be upset about. No harm was done. There was no harm. I'm telling you. Everything I have done has been for you, my dear daughter. You don't know what you are, since you don't know who I am, or where I come from, or that I am more than merely Prospero, your humble father who lives in this little shack. But it's time for you to know more. Wipe your eyes. Take comfort. I arranged the site of this horrible shipwreck, which moved you to such pity, so carefully that not a single person was hurt. No, not so much as a hair on anyone's head was hurt in this horrible ship that you saw sink. Sit down. It's time for you to know more. I've often started to tell you who you are, but then suddenly stopped, leaving you with unanswered questions, which I would only reply with wait, not yet. Well, the time has come for you to know more. This is the moment for you to listen hard and pay close attention. Can you remember a time before you came to live in this shack? I doubt it, since you weren't even 3 at the time. What do you remember? A house? A person? Tell me everything and anything that you remember. Indeed, you used to have 4 or 5 women taking care of you, and more besides, Miranda. But how is it possible that you still remember this, through all the darkness of the past? If you remember your life before you came here, you may also remember how you got here. 12 years ago, Miranda, 12 years ago, your father was the Duke of Milan, a powerful prince. Your mother was extremely virtuous, and she said you were my daughter. And your father was the Duke of Milan, and you were his heir, a princess. Evil things were done to us that we were driven here. And it was a blessing that we came here. We were pushed out of power by evil deeds, as you call them. But we were blessed in being helped toward this island. My brother, your Uncle Antonio, just listen to this. I can't believe a brother would be so disloyal. My brother, whom, aside from you, I loved more than anyone else in the world, I trusted to run my state, which at the time was the strongest in the land. And Prospero, the #1 duke, famous for my dignity and education, since I was so drawn to studying things like logic, grammar, geometry, and astronomy, I let my control the government slide a bit, being too wrapped up in my occult books. Your disloyal uncle. Are you paying attention? Once Antonio got the knack of granting certain requests, denying others, promoting some officials, keeping down those who were too ambitious, he won over the people who used to be mine, or changed them, remade them, you might say. Since he had control over the whole government and everyone in it, he soon made everyone sing his own song, whichever song he happened to like. He became like the ivy that sticks to the tree and sucked my vitality out of me. You're not paying attention. Please listen to me carefully. As I neglected practical matters, being totally dedicated to my solitude and improving my mind with subjects more valuable than people could ever imagine, I was so shut away from the world that I unwittingly stirred up evil desires in my disloyal brother. My deep trust made him deeply untrustworthy, arousing in him a treachery as big as my trust was, my trust which had no limit, an infinite confidence. With Antonio possessing such powers and wealth, coming not only from my income, but also from the ability to take whatever authority allowed him to take, Antonio started to believe that he was Duke, like some liar that starts to believe in his own lie. He put on the face of royalty, with it all the rights that go along with it. With his ambition growing like this, do you hear what I'm saying? To make his political performance absolutely perfect, he simply had to become Duke himself. My library was a large enough dukedom for me, so now Antonio judges me incapable of carrying out my duties. He's got so power hungry that he allies himself with the King of Naples, agreeing to pay him an annual sum, swear subservience to him, and put the dukedom of Milan, never subservient to anyone before, under the humiliating control of Naples. Think about that, and what happened afterward, and then tell me if Antonio can be called a brother. Now listen to the agreement they made. The King of Naples, my arch enemy, listens to my brother's request, which was that the king, in exchange for the respect and money paid to him, would get rid of me and make my brother Duke of Milan. A treacherous army was gathered, and one fateful night at midnight, Antonio opened the gates of Milan, and in the pitch black had his officers rush out, me and you, my dear daughter. You were crying. Just listen a little more, and I'll bring you up to date about our present situation, which is, of course, the whole reason I'm telling you this story in the first place. Why didn't they just kill us that night? Good question, my girl. My story does raise that question. The answer is that they didn't dare, because the people of Milan loved me too much. They had to disguise their bloody intentions. So, to make a long story short, they hurried us onto a ship, carried us a couple of miles out to sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a boat, with no sails, no mast, no ropes, which even the rats had abandoned. They tossed us into the water to cry out to the sea that roared back at us, to sigh to the winds that sighed back at us in pity. But you were not a burden. No, my dear. You were a little angel who kept me going. You smiled with a strength you must have gotten from heaven, while I cried salty tears into the salty sea and groaned at our situation. Your smile sustained my spirit against whatever would come our way. We managed to get ashore with God's help. We had a little food and fresh water given to us by a nobleman from Naples, Gonzalo, who gave us this out of the kindness of his heart. He had been chosen to carry out the plan of putting us to sea. He also gave us clothes, linen, and other necessities which were a great help. Knowing how much I loved my books, he gave me some books from my library that I value more than my dukedom. Now sit still and listen to the last of our sad sea adventures. We arrived here on this island, where I, acting as your teacher, have given you a better education than most princesses get. Princesses who have less careful tutors, who would rather spend their time on empty fun. You should know this. much luck is on my side, and my enemies have happened to wreck their ship on this island. As I see it, my fate hangs on this lucky event, and if I handle it wrong, I'll suffer for the rest of my life. Now, no more questions. You look sleepy. It's a nice, hazy feeling, so give into it. I know you have no choice.